welcome to another week of Film Forum, Atlanta's best movie talk show. I'm Steve Markos, with me Aron Siegel. We got 4th of July weekend coming up. It's a big week for movies, isn't it?
It's a very big week for movies. We have a lot of films opening up Wednesday,
yes,
which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, but
it might be today if you're watching the show on Wednesday.
Yeah, when we replay. But anyway, we got 2 films tonight, which, again, are 2 new flicks. Aron, what are we going to do tonight?
Steve, we've got The Lion King, Walt Disney's newest production, and we've also got Blown Away.
All right, sounds great. We always have a lot to do, so we might as well get started right away. What do you want to do first?
I think I'll do The Lion King.
Sounds great, since that came out last Friday, right?
It opened up last Friday. The Lion King is directed by Rob Minkoff. It's an animated feature. It tells the story of Simba, a lion cub, who wants to follow in his father's footsteps. His father is Mufasa, and become king of the jungle, king of all the land. We have voice characterizations by James Earl Jones, as well as Matthew Broderick, and several other stars. What we have here now is a scene from The Lion King, and I want you to try and guess who the voices are. So here's the scene.
Will you knock it off? Well, he started it. Look at you guys. No wonder we're dangling at the bottom of the food chain.
Man, I hate dangling.
Yeah? You know, if it weren't for those lions, we'd be running the joint.
Man, I hate lions.
So pushy.
And hairy.
Stinky.
And man, are they
ugly.
Oh, surely we lions are not all that bad.
Oh, Scars, just you.
Oh, we were afraid it was somebody important.
Yeah, you don't like Mufasa.
Yeah.
I see.
Now that's power.
Tell me about it. I just hear that name and I shudder.
Mufasa.
Ooh. Do it again.
Mufasa. Mufasa, Mufasa, Mufasa.
Ooh, it just tingles me.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
All right, that's a scene from The Lion King, which opened up last Friday. And the voices, in case you didn't know them, that was Jeremy Irons doing Uncle Scar. Scar is Simba's uncle and a brother to Mufasa, who is the voice of James Earl Jones. And we've also got the voices of Whoopi Goldberg and Cheech Marin of Cheech and Chong fame, and Jim Cummings.
That was one of the fun things, trying to guess the voices. But I was going to mention earlier, you said he wanted to be King of the Jungle. The original name of this film was King of the Jungle until the people at Disney realized that lions don't live in the jungle. So they changed it to The Lion King.
The Lion King.
And this is Disney's only original story, not based on a children's story.
Right.
Out of 31 flicks. I was kind of dreading going to this because I'm not a fan of animation.
You hate animation,
I'm kind of one of those
Steve.
people that still think animation are for kids, which is probably the reason I was so surprised that I liked the movie as much as I did.
Well, what did you think of Aladdin, Disney's 31st film?
That was more kind of, I thought it was all right. You know, the people that I were with liked animation. They liked it a lot better. On this one, like I said, first of all, as far as for kids are concerned, it's entertaining because it has lions and animals and funny things and humor and action adventures and stuff like that.
This film has got politics in it.
Does it? Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, the good thing about it for adults is because the story doesn't have to be a cartoon. It doesn't have to be for kids, because I could almost imagine the same story as an R-rated thriller starring Jeremy Irons as the evil
evil
brother and Matthew Broderick as the son who comes back to avenge his father's death, and Whoopi Goldberg.
Sounds almost like a Shakespeare story is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's kind of an adult story done for kids, but adults can appreciate it as well.
Right, because there are jokes that will go over the kids' heads, and that's why it's rated G. Because the jokes will go over the kids' heads, but at the same time, the adults will appreciate them as well.
Yeah. Secondly, I enjoyed the animation very much. In fact, some of it was almost so realistic, it seemed like a real movie in certain areas.
That's because what they're doing now is they're combining computer animation with hand animation.
Are they?
And
I was thinking.
If you remember when the monkey holds up, the monkey's played by Robert Guillaume. He holds up the lion cub, and you see this pan all the way around. This is a 3D animation technique that they established with Beauty and the Beast.
Well, I know that originally,
this
film was supposed to be a serious film without songs and without comedy. But after Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid became blockbusters, they decided to turn it into a musical with comedy and action, adventure, and all that. So I was thinking maybe the animation was a little more realistic because the cartoon was supposed to be more real instead of cartoonish. But you answered the question. I think your answer is a little better than mine. But I also like the music and not the songs that Elton John did. But I like the underlying musical theme. It had that African sound
You like
to
the
it.
score.
Yeah, and it
I like-
kind of made it you feel like it really was an African.
I like the songs. The lyrics were by Tim Rice, and the songs were by Elton John.
I didn't care
Tim
for
Rice
those
won
too
an
much.
Academy Award for his songs in Aladdin.
Yeah. I thought it was a great movie for kids, and it's a good movie for people, adults who have to take their kids to the theater. You don't have to drop them off at the mall theater and go shopping.
This is not a film that you would dread seeing.
Yeah, there were plenty of adults in the theater. There was a man next to me. This guy was laughing in hysterics, and everyone in the theater, both young and old, seemed to enjoy the movie. So you don't have to be afraid to go. I'd go with 4 stars.
Me too.
Based on a kid's 4 stars.
4-star movie.
4 stars.
Definitely worth the $6.
Alrighty. And like I said, that came out last Friday. Now we'll get on with our next film. Our next film comes out this Friday. It's called Blown Away and stars Jeff Bridges and Tommy Lee Jones. When Boston bomb expert Jimmy Dove decides to get married, he realizes that defusing bombs is not the best occupation for a family man to have, so he decides to retire from the force. However, when a mad bomber starts blowing away his fellow bomb squatters, Dove thrusts himself back in action to help catch the murderer. It turns out that the madman is Irish radical Ryan Garrity, who has recently escaped from prison and come to the United States for the sole purpose of terrorizing Dove and those close to him. He's out for revenge, and only Dove knows the reason why. Let's take a look at a scene from Blown Away, which comes out this Friday, in which Dove's partner begins to suspect that he may be more connected with the bomber than he leads on to believe.
What do you have, Lieutenant? How did you know there were 2 triggers in my stereo? I mean, that's pretty damn amazing even for you. And when the truck got blown to shit, he called you then, didn't he? Didn't he call you?
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking you're the reason this shit's coming down. That's what I'm thinking. You tell me.
You're thinking too much.
Bullshit. I'm wearing a BD uniform just like you. I'm a walking target just like the rest of these guys. I just want to know the truth.
Anthony.
You just tell me the truth.
Anthony, if you want to do what's right for the squad.
What's right for the squad was right for you. Huh? You tell me something. Why did you join disposal?
What's up? Who's got what?
Lieutenant's got it all. You should talk to him. You should talk to him.
All right, it's a scene from Blown Away, which comes out this Friday. Aaron, I was trying to find you after this screening because I had the worst seat in the theater. And I don't know
You were
if
like right up front.
I don't know if it's because I was sitting in a bad seat, but this movie was about as confusing as any movie I've ever seen in my life.
That's probably because everything was like right up here.
I mean, I don't know if it was that. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think it was the sound. Tommy Lee Jones in this film has an Irish accent, and I'll be damned if I could understand half of what he had to say. Could you understand what he had to say?
Yeah, I could.
You did? I mean, I don't think the sound is the same in the theater, but I couldn't understand it.
Well,
I don't think you need to go to a movie trying to decipher a main character's dialogue with that heavy Irish accent he had.
Well, I don't think it was that bad because there were films before that had worse accents. I think one of them was The Commitments. It took you about a half hour before you realized what they were saying because you finally got used to the way they were talking.
I don't know. I was just confused. All I know is people were defusing bombs left and right. I was waiting for something to explode. I was tense, and then all of a sudden, they're walking away shaking hands, and I'm saying, did I miss something here? I remember that scene at the end when the bomb is rigged to the brakes on the car. And he's down there, Jeff Bridges is down there trying to defuse this thing, and it looked to me like he suddenly just grabbed something and yanked on it. Is that what happened or what? I mean, that's no way to defuse a bomb.
Well, I think he snipped all the wires first. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Now that you've
man.
given away the ending to this film, Steve.
No, that's not the ending of the film. I'm telling you, it looked like, how in the world is this to defuse a bomb? I'm saying, did I miss something? And that seemed to be the question I was asking myself through this entire film. Did I miss something?
I think
couldn't
you missed
understand.
a lot.
Maybe it was the seat. I had to ask.
I think it was the seat,
I
too.
was on Phipps Plaza front row on the side. Horrible seat.
I think
I'll
you
never
missed
eat pizza before the movie. I'll get there.
I think you missed a lot about this film. There were a lot of things in this film that reminded me of Suspicion, Alfred Hitchcock film. Very similar in such ways that you've got bombs going off, and you've got different situations where there's you're always afraid that there's a bomb that's going to go off.
No, I wasn't.
Director.
I wasn't.
the director was teasing you with several different devices.
Yeah, but let me tell you why this movie wasn't as suspenseful as the other bomb movie that came out, Speed. Every time there was a peril in this movie, 9 times out of 10, the people involved in the peril were Jeff Bridges, Forrest Whitaker, his wife, played by Susie Amos, and their little girl. I knew Jeff Bridges wasn't going to get killed in a bomb. I knew Forrest Whitaker's not going to get killed in a bomb. And 99 times out of 100, they don't kill the little girl or the wife. So I was never afraid. I knew everything was going to work out well in this movie. When you make a movie that has suspense, and everyone out there needs to listen to this, when you have a movie that makes suspense
Filmmakers beware.
and the heroes are in peril, you need to kill off one of the main people at the beginning of the film. As bad as it sounds, they needed to blow up the little girl at the beginning of this movie because, no, listen, then you never know who's safe. Who's the master at this? Alfred Hitchcock. What did he do in Psycho? He killed off
the star, right?
Killed off the star.
In the movie.
And when that happened,
because you thought the money was what the movie was about.
No one had ever killed a star in a movie. He kills off a star. From that moment on, everybody's terrified because nobody is safe. If they can kill Janet Leigh, they can kill anybody. And that's why I think they should have killed a star off early in this film so we were never sure who would die. You look at Speed, you know Keanu Reeves isn't going to die. You know Sandra Bullock isn't going to die. But they have an entire busload of people, expendable people that can die. And in that elevator shaft, when those people fell at the beginning, you didn't know if they would live or die because they were expendable minor characters, and therefore you were held in suspense. I wasn't held in suspense in this film because I knew the people in peril were not going to die in this film. Jeff Bridges just isn't going to get blown up.
I like the techniques that he used. I thought it was an enjoyable film, and I like the fact that this bomber was a little bit more creative. He had all sorts of different bombs. From what I understand, Ryan Garrity could make a bomb out of Bisquick.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were all sorts of little things in there, and
I thought there was a good story somewhere there, but I just didn't think they brought it out well. In the muffled dialogue of the accent and some of the scenes, I didn't understand how they diffused bombs. Things just happened, and I was like, wait a second.
Okay.
So,
from my seat, it's 3.5 stars.
From my seat, it was 1.5 stars. Don't sit on the front row on the side at Phipps Plaza, I'll tell you that. So anyway, we have a phone call now. Let's, caller, you're on the air.
Hello, caller?
Hello, you there?
Yeah, we're here.
Hey, I got a bone to pick with you guys. I want to tell you about this movie I rented that you recommended, Remains the Day.
I didn't recommend that.
Neither did I.
On last week's, a week or two ago, you had it with 3.5 stars. It was released. I want to say that was probably the most anal retentive movie I've ever seen in my entire life. What do those guys do? They walk around with like a roll of quarters tucked up between their butt cheeks or something?
I'll tell you what.
Remains
the Day was better than Howard's End.
In England, or is it, they're like
no, I like Howard's End.
Marshmallows. I mean, we're the real
we hear what you're saying. But Remains of the Day is better than Howard's End, and it had some good acting. If we recommended it, it was because of that. I
never recommended Remains of the Day.
Acting my butt. I mean,
I never recommended.
When you see a movie like Remains of the Day,
cartoons that had better acting.
When you see a movie like Remains of the Day, you have to know if you're the type of person to watch it. Obviously, you think Friday the 13th is an Academy Award-winning movie. So what happens
wait
here?
Wait a minute. Wait, caller, what would you give 4 stars to?
I'm a sophisticated kind of
okay, well, what would you give 4 stars to?
Well, I give Demolition Man or
Friday the 13th, Part 10?
Maybe Terminator 2 or something
okay,
like that.
I give 4 stars.
All right, well, obviously, when you like Terminator 2...
I'm waiting for something to happen in that movie, and for crying out loud, for an hour and 45 minutes, I sat there, and all I wanted to do was reach up and give these guys an enema or something.
What did you think a movie directed by James Ivory was going to be? Action-packed? I mean, obviously, you didn't read the little review of somebody. All right, well, thanks for calling, though, and maybe
we appreciate it.
We appreciate it. All right, let's come on with Atlanta's Top 10.
I swear, I never recommended Remains.
If I recommended it, it was to people who like that type of film.
That must have been Hannah. Hannah gave Remains of the Day.
I mean, obviously, if you like Rambo and those, it's not your type of movie. But all right, what's coming up on the top 10? Here?
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Metro Atlanta Top 10. These are the top 10 films in the Atlanta area. These are films that you went to see this past weekend, so don't blame us for that.
Randy, our producer, must have put extra stars up there, maybe.
No, maybe Hannah got
No, she wasn't.
Hannah gave that film 4 stars.
Remains of the Day was last year.
But it
Hannah
was
wasn't
released
even
on home video.
I don't know.
All right.
That was a girl
Number
that gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, a girl gave it 4 stars. Okay. Number 10 is Renaissance Man with Danny DeVito. It falls from number 9. It's the 4th week on the charts. Number 9 this week, it was number 7 last week, is The Cowboy Way with Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland. Number 8 this week is Maverick with Mel Gibson and Jody Foster. Drops 2 notches to number 8. It's the 6th week of release. Number 7 this week is Home Alone meets Ted Danson as a gangster. Get Even with Dad. Drops out of the top 5 after only 1 week. Number 6 this week is City Slickers Part 2. Was number 4 last week. It's been out only 3 weeks now. Number 5 this week is The Flintstones, still in the top 5 after 5 weeks.
And that's this year's first $100 million movie. And maybe that guy there would give that one 4 stars.
I don't know. Maybe you can call back and tell us.
We're just giving you a little crap. We're just joking with you.
All right, number 4
Everyone has
this
their
week.
opinion.
Number 4, debuting at number 4, opened up last Friday, is Wyatt Earp, Kevin Costner's portrayal of Wyatt Earp. Number 3 this week is Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, which
The other
Steve and I
bomb
both
movie.
love.
Yeah, the other
Well,
bomb
it
movie.
wasn't a bomb, Steve. It was a movie about bombs.
Well, just like this one's a movie about bombs.
Still in the top 3 for the 3rd week in a row. Number 2 this week is Wolf with Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer. Falls out of the top spot after only 1 week.
And yes, remember I said that I thought Jack Nicholson was too old for Michelle Pfeiffer. When Jack Nicholson was our age, Michelle Pfeiffer was 0.
Okay, fine.
Too
And
old.
number 1 for the first week, and its highest debut, the new number 1 film is The Lion King.
That's the
film which
third
we
largest
just
weekend
reviewed.
opening in history behind Jurassic Park and Batman Returns. No longer in the top 10, When a Man Loves a Woman lasted 5 weeks, got as high as number 3, and Beverly Hills Cop 3, which did horrible, I guess, is out of the top 10 after 4 weeks, got as high as number 3.
I was disappointed. John Landis and Bullets and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. All right, let's
What
get
do you
on.
think, this is Letterman?
Let's get on with our Critics' Choice. Each week we tell you a Critics' Choice and recommend a few movies just in case you go to the video store and think you've seen everything. Well, here's a few. If you haven't seen them, we recommend checking out.
These are children's stories.
Yes, our movies adapted from children's stories.
Children's stories. My number 3 film was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Came out in 1971. Was directed by Mel Stewart. It was adapted from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The film stars Gene Wilder and Jack Albertson, and is about a boy who is given a chance to tour a chocolate factory along with 4 other teenagers in the hopes of winning a lifetime supply of chocolate. The film has incredible sets, incredible art direction, and incredible songs, memorable songs. This film was nominated for an Academy Award in 1971, but lost out. It has a script scripted by Dahl, and with eye-popping sets by Harper Goff. This is a great film for kids and a great film for adults as well. You might want to check this one out. My number 2 film came out in 1940. It's an animated film called Pinocchio. It was produced by Walt Disney. It was directed by Ben Sharpstein and has voices of Dickie Jones, Christian Rubb, Cliff Edwards, Evelyn Venable, Walter Catlick, and Frankie Darrow. It's the story of a puppet maker and his puppet. The puppet wants to become a real boy. Enough said about that film. I'm sure if you haven't heard about Pinocchio, you've been living under a rock somewhere. So go ahead and check this one out too. All right, my number 1 film came out in 1964. It was the musical Mary Poppins, also produced by Walt Disney. It was directed by Robert Stevenson, starred Julie Andrews, David Tomlinson, Dick Van Dyke, and Glennis Johns. This film is about a nanny, a super nanny who goes to raise 2 children in London, England, and the encounters and the things that they run across at that time period. This is a great film. It won Academy Awards for Best Songs, and it's just a very entertaining film. Those are my top 3, Steve.
All right, my 3rd favorite film adopted from a children's story is also Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. As Aaron said, children win, try to find the magic ticket hidden in Willy Wonka's candy bars, and then they get to tour his factory. It's a social satire, so while children are laughing because a scene is inherently funny or silly, adults can appreciate the satire and the sarcastic wit of Willy Wonka. I can't believe it didn't win or was nominated for art direction because the sets are fantastic. It was nominated for Best Adaptation and Original Song Score. My 2nd favorite movie adapted from a children's story is The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which came out in 1989. Now, Baron Munchausen is a German folk hero along the same lines as our Paul Bunyan. He's a teller of tall tales, and in this film, chronicles his adventure as he searches for his long-lost entourage of superhero servants so he can lead a counterattack against the Turks who are currently besieging the city. The film cost $60 million when it was made in '89, made it one of the most expensive films ever. Since nobody's heard of it out there, it's no surprise it's the second biggest financial disaster in film history. Received Oscar nominations for makeup, set design, costumes, and visual effects. Wonderful special effects in this film. It is rated PG-13 for a few bits of minor comic book violence and a brief nude scene of Uma Thurman, who looks absolutely beautiful naked. But anyway, it's a great film, and it's one of those films you're going to like it, or you're going to hate it, or you're going to love it, though. I love recommending it. People come back and say, I hated it, or they say, that's a great film. But anyway, my favorite movie based on a children's book, The Wizard of Oz. Aaron, how did you forget that one?
I didn't forget it.
Oh, you just didn't.
It just wasn't my favorite.
All right, well, it was based on a book written around the turn of the century by Frank Baum. And since everybody knows the story, I was just going to tell a few little trivia facts here. The Wizard of Oz was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It won for Best Original Musical Score and Best Song Over the Rainbow, which Louis B. Mayer, who then headed MGM Studios, wanted to cut from the film. As popular as The Wizard of Oz is today, back then it was a huge financial disaster in 1939, losing over $1 million. It took 20 years to recoup its $2.8 million investment. And MGM originally wanted Shirley Temple to play the role of Dorothy, but she was under contract by 20th Century Fox. Back then, they had a studio system where you only worked for a certain studio and you were under contract for so many years to do movies for them. And last but not least, 4 different directors worked on The Wizard of Oz. George Cukor and Richard Thorpe were fired in the first 2.5 weeks. Victor Fleming then took over, directed all but the last 10 days when he had to leave to go direct Gone with the Wind, which won Best Picture, beating out his other movie, Wizard of Oz. King Vidor directed the final 10 days of The Wizard of Oz. And those are my 3 favorite films based on children's stories. If you haven't seen any of these that we recommend, I'd say go out and see them.
And if you want a what-if film, it came out a couple of years back. It was called Under the Rainbow, which is just a comic look at the making of The Wizard of Oz.
And there's a 50th anniversary edition of Wizard of Oz, and you can go out, and it has scenes cut out and new songs and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get on with this video this week. Coming out on video, we have The Pelican Brief, which was a John Grisham novel-based movie starring, who's in that? Julia Roberts. And Denzel Washington. And also Philadelphia, which had Denzel Washington. Tom Hanks won the Academy Award for Best Actor.
Yeah, this is the Denzel Washington in Legal Films Festival.
Weekend. All right, on pay-per-view this week, we have RoboCop 3, which I believe was shot here in Georgia. We gave that 3 stars, which our viewer who hated Remains of the Day will probably appreciate the 3 stars from RoboCop. Shortcuts, we gave 3 stars. He should stay away from that one. That's kind of intellectual. Red Shoe Diaries, I only we gave it 2 stars. Isn't that a sex movie? Red Shoe Diaries? He'll probably like this one. Check that out. If you hated Remains of the Day, check out Red Shoe Diaries. And Ernest Rides Again, we haven't given it stars, but I would assume that somebody that hated Remains of the Day would probably enjoy Ernest Rides Again. So anyway, that's on pay-per-view. Check it out.
That sounds great, Steve. Each week on Film Forum, when we have our regular format, we have a special guest. This week is no different. We're very honored to have Jody DuFresne. She is a production coordinator. What we'd like to do now is welcome Jody to the show. Jody, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
So production assistant?
Production coordinator.
Production coordinator. What exactly is a production coordinator? Let's start off getting right to the heart of things here.
I'm responsible for more the logistics and the business end of a production shoot. I'll be hiring the crew, negotiating their rates, any equipment, whether it's camera equipment, special lenses, locations, and putting together any kind of paperwork, crew list, budgetary, printing it out. So it's really kind of the heart blood of the business aspect of a production.
And with as big as these film crews are today, are you the only one doing this, or are there many?
Well, of course, they have great support within the office, and if it's a feature film, I'll have an assistant coordinator and a lot of production assistants to help me carry out these kind of things. Lately, I've been doing a lot of videos and commercials, and then I'm really the sole operator.
So it's a smaller scale.
Exactly.
So what kind of training would you have to do to get into this? Or actually, let's start with how you got started.
Yeah, my route is somewhat atypical. I had worked previously for the White House, and specifically for the Presidential Advance Office. And I was the presidential aide responsible for coordinating all of the elements of a presidential trip. So So when the president would come to a city, let's say like Atlanta, he would send me along with a contingency, a small office from the White House, to plan all the elements and the details of his trip. And I sort of fell into the category of being the liaison with the media. So if they had requests for cameras or platforms or lighting or backdrop, it would all come through me, and I would work with my counterparts in Washington, be it the Secret Service or communications staff or the president himself. And then when the president came to the city, we would execute it flawlessly. It was kind of like a live broadcast, so hopefully everything went as planned. And from there, I met a producer who appreciated that these skills were basically production skills. It's planning and logistics and using your head and thinking extemporaneously. And he asked me to come on board as his assistant, and it was kind of time for me to leave politics. So it was a good transition, although not typical.
You like movies better than politics?
The dress code's much better. I can wear blue jeans now.
All right. And you had said, you have a question? I say she worked on Blown Away, is what she was telling me earlier.
No, actually, I just finished a Pink Floyd music video, and the DP was the director of photography on Blown Away.
So you worked with him?
I worked with him.
Now you brought some.
I brought some goodies
show and tell
here.
stuff?
Yeah, this is kind of some fun stuff. This is from my Reagan days, and I especially like this picture because there's a big picture of me, and then we have this tiny little picture of the president and
like
first
the Secret
lady.
Service here.
Well, that was the point of this article. It was a tabloid, and they mistook me for a Secret Service agent. When really I was just yelling at the media, yelling at the producer.
I got grabbed by the CIA over in France. I happened to be at Notre Dame the same day as Clinton was, and I tried to get some pictures too quick, and they grabbed me real quick there.
Yeah, that was part of my job. This was a feature that I worked on with Sean Young, and this is Sean doing my makeup.
And this is Love Crimes?
This was Love Crimes.
Doing your makeup?
Doing my makeup.
So you were in the movie?
Well, I was coordinator on that, but
You got a little part? Oh, she was.
we were having a little fun in the makeup trailer.
I see.
All right.
Okay, well, we're about out of time. Jody, we want to thank you for coming on the show this evening.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Enjoyed it.
We want to invite everybody to join us again next week when we'll have 2 feature releases, Critics' Choice, and a special guest involved in the film industry. See you next Tuesday.